Hey, what's up, YouTube? In this video, I want to cover a bunch of different topics, but centered around the muscles that are inside of our throat and head and face. And the reason why I talk about these is because I just recently started to really integrate these into my body network and really feel them and activate them. And it's been a pretty remarkable transformation, not just of this area, but for my entire body. And I think the biggest theme that I want to communicate in this video is that size does not equal significance. So what I mean is that it's very easy to look at the muscles here inside of the head and the face. And, in body fluency, what we do is we learn how to feel all these muscles. And, we tend to focus on stuff in the arms, the shoulders, the hips, all that kind of stuff, thinking that's where all the action is. And there's definitely a lot of action there. But do not assume that just because the muscles here that are connecting your throat, your hyoid bone, your jawbone, and your head, if we put on the muscles of the head, I'm like, oh, okay, like, cool, but, let's focus on here. No, the more I figure out how to integrate these muscles back into the rest of my body, the more a lot of problems in my body go away. So for example, I was focusing a lot recently on getting my hip muscles, particularly my adductors, and opening up my hips and like trying to get different chains and stuff there, and doing as much as I can there. And then and specifically what I was trying to get is a connection going up my spine and the front of my body. So here you have your breastplate, your sternum, and then you have this thing called the linea alba, which is just a thick band of connective tissue coming from here. Then going in, you have two muscles here called the pyramidalis that connect to this. And then these will then pull up on your pubic bone. And so particularly for me, I was concerned about these different adductors like the gracilis and the adductor magnus and the longus, all the other ones. So let's look at these for now. So, there's a connection going on here from my legs up through my pubic bone to the front of my body, up this front part here into here. But I've always felt this kind of breastplate sagged and things a bit crooked here because of the scoliosis. And originally I was putting all my effort into pulling this up with my arms or even with my sternocleidomastoid, which pulls up here to this part of the head, to both the occipital bone and the temporal bone. So I'm sitting here and I'm finding that muscle. You notice how I'm offside like this because that's still the angle where my spine is kind of twisted at the top. I'm working out my neck muscles a lot this week, and then getting that connected down. Ooh, that feels nice. Oh, feels real good. Getting that connected down to my, going down into my pubic bone and into my legs and my adductors. But what really made the difference, I was sitting here pulling on this and I was like, wait a minute, I'm just pulling on one side. If I get like a circuit, which is when I can kind of loop all the way back. So a circuit is when you go through a series of muscles and then come back into the same place. So I was like, you know what? Let me get a circuit with these muscles that connect my that's my sternothyroid, but or my sternohyoid. There you are. That connect my my hyoid bone, and then up. So there's a little bone here called the hyoid, and just so you know what's going on here, your larynx, which is where your voice is created, is connected to this bone. And for those of you guys who know me from my language learning, we go deep into the anatomy of the mouth, of the face for speech. This is actually where this whole project started. I learned how to master the anatomy in my speech instrument, and then later on I made a course on how to master the muscles of the face, and then now I'm doing it for the whole body. And now I'm all of a sudden linking it all together. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm pulling on this hyoid bone right here, and then I am cool. So again, I'm trying to get a circuit going. I'm trying to get this muscle to connect back to this muscle some way by going out through and connecting other nodes. But right now, this does not connect to this yet. So I'm here. I'm like, cool. Well, okay. How about I go from here to my jaw, and there's a couple muscles that do that, but I was particularly focused on these. So these? Oh, sorry, this right here, the mylohyoid. Boom. So this muscle right here. And as I was going through this, I realized I'm like, yeah, this whole area here. Well, damn. Hold up. This is my first time seeing this. 'Cause I just did it yesterday. Yeah, I've never seen these muscles like this pronounced and jacked before. So this is a new development for me. But yeah, I never really seen them like protrude that much like that. And that's the result of literally what I just did in the past like 2 days. So I'll explain what that is. So yeah, what I was saying is that I always kind of felt this area kind of just like bleh. And I could feel these muscles like at the angle going into my head, but here it's like bleh. I'm like, let me like get these activated, figure it out. So I like go here, get this connected. This is grabbing to my jaw. But then also I have my tongue, and this is a muscle that pulls your tongue down. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna take the face muscles off for a second, and I'm gonna slice this guy's jaw up a little bit, and then go oop, bah. There you go. Knock his teeth out. Bah. Teeth gone. All right, great. So let's just look at the side view of this mandible connection. And all right, great. So there's hyoid. So you see this muscle here. This pulls your tongue down to make the ah. If I go ah, that's the muscle that does that. And these are things I already knew from my teaching my language program. And I'm like, okay, well, if I want to get this muscle and I want to get it really activated, it needs to pull against something else. And a muscle that pulls antagonistically to that would be this muscle here, the palatal glossus, which lifts the tongue up to the soft palate. And that's what you do when you make a sound like g, 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 right? So if I try to say g and ah at the same time, try it. It feels weird, but you're like, and then like basically you're this muscle's pulling and this muscle's pulling, but now they're pulling against each other, so you're not really going anywhere, but now you're just creating tension in that space. And then now I'm getting tension on this hyoid bone going into my soft palate. And then also, if I continue the soft palate, I'll just cut these guys out momentarily. If I cut this soft palate and you have muscles that pull the palate up, and again, I teach this in my program if you're speaking Portuguese or French, and you want to make a nasal vowel, then you're actually relaxing these muscles. But when you're speaking with an oral vowel, then you are contracting these muscles. So if I go, and then also I can play around with this muscle, pulls your tongue out, and then this muscle pulls your tongue back in. So I'm going to try to get those on. And essentially I get this muscle, this muscle, this muscle, this muscle, these muscles all pulling. And then now I have my hyoid bone connecting up through into this this bone here, which is my temporal bone, which is the same bone that this is connected into. So now I have a circuit. So I try to look for that, and I warn you, it looks super weird when you do it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to find the angle to get this activated. And then while I have this muscle tension and activated, then I'm going to start to get this muscle activated, and then start to do all this weird tongue stuff, and then connect that back here. And then that'll be one change. There's stuff I can do with my jaw, maybe I'll show later, but just for now, because I showed you this one, I'll bring this up, and my goal is to kind of feel that connection from here going through the temporal bone back into this to make a circuit. And then when I have that circuit, I can now pull up on my breastplate with more force, and then send that energy down into my pubic bone. All right, so let's try it out. So again, I'm going to be first getting my sternocleidomastoid, which you see here, getting that on. I'm just going to do one side. So boom, this is now on and long. All right, and then while I have that, I'm going to find the one connecting here to my hyoid bone. All right, now I'm pulling my hyoid bone down, and I'm going to get into this later in the video, but notice how the quality of my voice changes. It's a bit more chocolatey. And so now I'm pulling my hyoid bone down, and then I'm going to start doing that weird shit with my tongue so I can get that tension going into my velum and then up into the same bone but from a different side. Whoo! Let's go. Yeah. And now you notice as well, it's a bit more resonance to my voice. And yeah, and that's feels wild. It feels really good. It's opened up so much space here. That's just a circuit. I was doing stuff today with my jaw as well. I went to class today. So first off, I started doing these last night and getting them all connected, and all of a sudden all this space started opening up my hips, and I was like, oh wow, and I was able to kick way better and way higher. So I'm like, I'm going to sparring today. So I went to sparring today and was having probably the best day sparring day I've had so far. I'm new to Muay Thai and new to kickboxing, but I was like, papa, really like kind of getting these leg kicks off with like throwing my legs like hands, feeling really good about that. And then at the same time though, I still suck. So I got my first head kick. I ate my first head kick, and then I ate a second one right after that. So I got kicked hard in the head, in the face particularly, and I had pain in my jaw. Like, guy clocked me in the jaw. I got punched there too probably, and I got clocked in the jaw. So I had like this soreness in my pain, and soreness in my jaw area. And then I was back here at the office right now, and then I'm like sitting here being like, wait a minute, like, what is pain? I just made a video on pain. You know, there's like some muscle that's disintegrated from the whole body network. What exactly is this jaw muscle? I still don't have enough mental fluency of my jaw muscles. So I started going in here, and then I became aware of, I deleted them. So let me restore these muscles. All right. I became aware of these guys, the pterygoid muscles that connect to this bone, this node that I wasn't aware of until today, really. Aware, like mentally feeling it in my body, and now I feel it, and it feels good. So I'll kind of show you this bone. Check out this sick feature of this anatomy app. If I click the cranium, and then I say explode, shotgun shell. All right, so check out this little bone here in the middle. This is a critical bone, right? I think it's called the sphenoid bone. So I was like, sphenoid. And, you know, I had a, many years ago, my jaw came out of place or something. I don't know what it is, but one day I just kind of realized I couldn't, like, chew properly. And I went to go see a dentist, and they're like, oh, yeah, your jaw is, like, too far forward, you know, probably because of genetics, blah, blah, blah. You probably need to get like a jaw surgery. I'm like, jaw surgery? I'm not getting a jaw surgery. That sounds way too intense. So he's like, yeah, well, eventually you're going to need a jaw surgery, so better do it now. And I'm like, nah, bro, you're just trying to make that money. And I'm not trying to be your guinea pig here. So I let my jaw do its thing. But I've always kind of like, I could never clench down. And I could never clench down in my bite anymore as I used to. And it kind of annoyed me for a while, and then I just got used to it. And anyway, so now here I come, and I'm like trying to figure out these jaw muscles. And I come here, and I'm like, oh, what's this? And then I'm like, oh, how do I find that? And I just standing here, I couldn't find it. But then I had to go off onto my angle. And then I'm like, okay, how do I get this mandible, this angle here, my mandible connecting here, and then find that sphenoid? I search around using my kind of process and technique. And then I find it. Here's the other side. And whoa, and there I go. I'm using that kinesthetic sensation, and then I just like boom, and now I can feel that bone inside. It's its own kind of like node, right? Like the skull is not one bone; it's a bunch of bones. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then boom, now that one, I'm like, okay, that connects my jaw. Let me get that thing jaw connected down through here. That muscle I showed you earlier, this one here, into my hyoid bone. And what's going on here is I'm just like untangling these like webs, like twisted web. The scoliosis goes all the way into my brain, like all the way into my facial structure in my head. And I'm just like untwisting it. And as I'm untwisting it, I'm getting waves of like new tension and energy flowing down my sternum. My pec lifts up. Now my shoulders are more open. My hips are more open. And all these things are now opening up, all because I activated this. They were just hanging there loose and flaccid for a long time. And now my jaw, I can feel is set back more. There's still more I got to do. I got to find all these other muscles, but now I can sense it. I'm like, okay, I never need to get jaw surgery. I just lost fluency in these jaw muscles. In fact, I never had enough fluency in the first place because of that scoliotic development I had as a kid. But because now I'm developing this mental fluency, I can fix those things and then pull my head and my jaw and my face into the shape it was actually meant to be all this time. So my head is not the way it's supposed to be. It never was. But through this, I can realize the true shape of my head. And as a result, not just make my head shape probably better looking, but also fix up my whole other body so I can punch and kick. I didn't finish that thought. When I found that muscle and started connecting things up, instantly the pain went away in my jaw from getting hit. So I'm like, I don't have to accept soreness in my jaw anymore when I get punched. It's like, this is just like a muscle that's not fluent. If I can just develop my mental fluency, I can fix it right away. And as I get this more fluent as well, I have been knocked out before, but my knockout resistance, I can have a tighter, like literally a stronger chin because I have a more fluent chin, a more fluent head structure. And so remember what I said at the top of this video, size does not mean significance. Every muscle in your body counts because every muscle is a pathway for tension to flow. So if you block that tension, then you will have network effects that will affect you in other parts of your body that you might not have any idea that are related, but everything's connected to everything technically. So that's how that works. So working out that, I got these muscles as well, which had a big influence, these muscles right here. And and it's like, I can still feel it right now. My voice is more resonant. And actually when I first really discovered this hyoid bone, and I remember when I first saw it, when I first started body fluency, and I didn't have this larynx up as a thing, so it was just like, I'd be sitting here, let me fix this man's jaw real quick, get rid of this larynx, fix this man's jaw, and got an old man, got no teeth, that's fine. And I remember I saw this bone, I'm like, what is this bone? Some random ass bone sitting here, right? And of course, there's no random ass bones, there's no random ass muscles. Everything is there for a reason. You just got to discover it. So later on, I was doing singing lessons last year, and I could feel, because I have a good ear from music and language. I could hear and feel what the teacher was doing. She's on a piano and she's like, oh, and then she was like doing stuff, and I'm like, oh man, like I can. Like my thing was like whack. My voice is like didn't have this quality that she had, and I could hear the acoustic quality that she had that I was lacking, but I couldn't find in my own body how to produce that quality. And I was like, oh, what are you doing there? How are you doing that? And then as I was doing that, earlier that day, I was just looking at the muscles coming out of the scapula, and then I just remembered this bone, this muscle called the omohyoid, and do both sides. And then I was like, oh yeah, wait a minute, omohyoid. And then I thought about like, oh wait, there's muscles connected to my hyoid, to my larynx. And then I thought as well about the ones I already showed you, the other sternohyoid. And get both sides. Anyways, use a point. And the sternohyoid, and I'm like, oh wait a minute, let me like get these connected and see what happens. So then I found that, got my scapula connected to my hyoid bone on that side and this side, got my sternum connected, that side and this side, got them connected to each other, and then those muscles I showed earlier connecting up to pull up my jaw on my tongue. And then now, as you can get, my resonance is deeper again. I started to hit those high notes, and all of a sudden, I was hitting them and doing that quality that my singing teacher had. And I was like, oh, wow, body fluency is now connected to my singing practice. And yeah, it's everything, guys. It's connected to everything. Everything, your body, when you're talking, you're moving, you're speaking, you're fighting, you're kicking, you're getting punched. The main thing is just muscle contraction. And muscle contraction does not happen as an island, or if it does, it's inefficient, it's not fluent. So if you're trying to improve your performance, don't think about getting an isolated muscle and like, doing a bunch of, barbell curls on it. Think about what is it meant to connect to as part of the larger network? How can I reconnect it back into it? And then you'll be amazed at what you can perform. Do not accept your current form of your body. I promise you, what you are is just a fraction of a percent of what you could be if you made the whole thing fluent. And I'm trying to be fully fluent. I don't know if it's possible. I feel like it is. And I feel like I can get there in maybe a couple of years, something like that. I don't know. But I'm trying to pursue it because every day I'm just getting better and better, and it feels amazing. So yeah, that's what I want to talk about in today's video. Just I'm going to go spend a lot of time more getting every single muscle in this head and know it just as well as I know all the air muscles in my body, and just finish it. One thing I've learned in this process is that, I'll learn some muscles here, then I'll connect them, get chains, do some other stuff, put them in movements, and then I'm like having fun there. And then I'm like, oh, those little ones over here, those ones, they're too complicated. I'll leave them for later, and they're not that probably important or whatever. But now that I've done this now for almost 2 years, I've come to realize that the most important priority is to define as many muscles as you can, put them in your mental fluency. That's the first step. And then there's a lot to do in terms of actually connecting them and making longer chains and circuits and trees and what that. But if more important than making another new chain here is just adding one more link to the whole network that's been laying offline forever. It makes a huge difference, because what happens is getting this connected here, again, doesn't just affect here, it reverberates through the whole system. So when I stand up right now, I promise you, I'm going to walk and then be like, ooh, and then like feel some more stuff going down my body when I get out this seated position as a result of what I just did right now. And so cool. I hope that was interesting and inspiring to you for your own practice. I look forward to seeing people doing what I did with this jaw, because what I do with body fluency and what I do with my students already looks weird enough. But when you're doing this stuff with like the jaw and face, because you're always like movements like this, but then when you start incorporating the jaw and the face, you start doing stuff like, and you look like you're fucking losing your mind. And but it's definitely worth losing your mind for, because in losing your mind, you can get back your body, and then your mind works better too, I promise. So if you're willing to, sacrifice your social image for health, then you're my type of person, and we should start working together. So if you like that, then subscribe, leave a comment, question, and check out bodyfluency.net for more information. Have fun, guys.